Hey everyone, I'm Ian Douglas, the author of the website techinterview.guide. I do live streams every Sunday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern about topics relevant to interview preparation for the tech industry. I occasionally record longer Q&A sessions, and I've started to break those into smaller videos to post. And there'll be information at the end of this video about how to get in contact with me if you have additional questions. Let's get to it. How do I prepare for a technical interview in the whole live coding portion for a software engineer role? This one comes up pretty commonly, and there are a lot of different things that you can do to prepare. The technical interview aspect, by that point you've already kind of gone through like initial phone screens, and they've kind of looked at your resume and they've looked over your whole profile and go, yes, so far you kind of fit the pattern of what we're looking for in a candidate, so we're going to continue to work with you and keep you going through that process. When you get to the technical interview portion of it, there's kind of two parts. One is answering technical questions about your background, like what's your experience working in this particular programming language, or what's your experience working in this or that kind of framework or toolkit or something along those lines. And then there's going to be the actual technical coding challenge that typically comes in a lot of modern software development interviews, at least here in North America. There are a lot of different aspects to what that part of the interview is going to be like, and so knowing how to prepare is actually really tricky. I would say the number one thing to do is ask the company what their process is and say, hey, when I come to that technical interview, or if you're doing it remotely, what can I expect to do? What should I, expect to study and expect to be asked about? Now, they're not going to give you specifics and say, we're going to ask you this question and this question and this question. They're going to be a lot more vague about it and say, you should study these kinds of concepts, or, study up on data structures. But hopefully they're being a little more careful about telling you at a more practical level which data structures to study or which kinds of algorithms to study. Because to just say, go study data structures and algorithms is too broad. It's too vague. There's so much that you can go study. It's not enough just to say, study data structures and algorithms. I think companies, again, kind of owe it to candidates to some degree to say, these are the kinds of questions that we're going to ask about. These are the kinds of things that we want to talk to you about. And again, you'll hear me say this a lot on the stream. Interviews should be more conversation than interrogation. And so I'm really hoping that over time, companies are going to start to realize that these things just need to be two-way conversations between you and your interviewer, and less where they're just throwing you a question, you give them an answer, and they throw you a question and they give you an answer, and you throw a question, they give you an answer. Like, it needs to be more conversation. Like, I ask you a question, you answer it, and maybe that, takes off in a whole different direction. That's what interviews should be, in my opinion. That's really what interviews should be. So when it comes to what to prepare, data structures and algorithms at a very broad sense are good things to know, but there are sort of common study guides that you can see. Last Thursday we had Sean Prashad on the stream, and he and I had a really good conversation. You should go check that out. It's up on YouTube. And we had a really good conversation about the tool that he built, which is just kind of this LeetCode what's the word I'm looking for? Collated kind of interview problems that he's found on LeetCode, partly from LeetCode Premium and partly from other sites as well, where he's kind of like taking the best of the best, and he's getting all of that content up on a site that he's building and managing. And you can use tools like that to go find, well, what's the likelihood that I'm going to be asked these kinds of algorithm questions at these kinds of companies? The top 4 that I've seen in my experience so far are depth-first search, breadth-first search, backtracking algorithms, so all your traversal kinds of algorithms, and then like dynamic programming, which can incorporate some of those backtracking and sort of traversal algorithms. You may get asked a little bit about search type algorithms, like go find a thing in a tree, but really anything where you're trying to go find other information is really coming down to some sort of traversal algorithm anyway. But there are also like 2-pointer problems and heap problems and fast and slow pointer problems and array problems. There's a lot of different sort of categories of them. I would say definitely practice up on those top 4, but there are also other kinds of categories and other types of algorithms that you could also study as well, just to be ready because you really don't know. But hopefully if you ask the company will be really upfront with you and say, these are the kinds of questions we're going to ask. These are the kinds of things that we would like you to study so that you're bringing your best self to that interview. And again, they're not going to tell you exactly what to go study, but they will give you some amount of direction if you ask. So ask. Worst thing they'll say is like, something really vague. But at best, like a lot of the FANG companies, they have like full publications on these are the things we want you to study to be ready for our interview process. And so they actually do quite well at sharing that kind of information. So just ask the company. They should give you some amount of information there.
Hey, thanks for watching. I love helping people out with interview prep, and I hope this video helped you in some way. If you found this Q&A useful, please consider subscribing. You can follow me on Twitch as well for the live stream twice a week. Check out techinterview.guide/streaming for more information. I also have a daily email series that you can subscribe to on the website. There are never any ads, and when you finish the series, I scrub your information out of my database permanently. Finally, if you have a question that you'd like answered on the stream, you can find my contact info on techinterview.guide. I prefer LinkedIn or email. If you leave your question in a YouTube comment, it might take me longer to find it, but I'll see you next time.